Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the new products from Dior. I have the Forever Skin Perfect Foundation Stick. I have the shade 1N. I also have the Forever Skin Contour in 01 Light. And then I have the High Color, nope, that's eyeshadow, wrong one. I have the Rouge Blush Color and Glow, and I have the shade Dioriviera, and that's number 257. So if you wanted to see how I got this look and how I like these products, then just keep watching. I also am just going to warn you, I talk about my dog throughout this entire video, so I'm sorry. I do go into product details as well, but there is going to be a lot of talk about her. So just a heads up. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Hey everyone, this is probably going to be a very difficult video for me to get through. I'm going to try to just keep on track with the products and product information. But I lost my dog. I'm sure you probably already know that from the video that I posted. I'm already crying. So I do want to talk about her because I feel like she deserves to be talked about, and I'm sorry if this is annoying or like I've talked about her too much, but I want to just talk about everything that happened and her in general, but I will also be showing you all of these products. So first we're going to start with the products because I don't want to cry immediately. So I picked up the Dior Forever Skin Perfect foundation, and I have the shade 1N. I kind of feel like I should have done 1W or 0W because it's a tiny bit orangey looking. It doesn't look like it here, but on the skin you'll, be able to see a little bit better. I also picked up the Forever Skin Contour, and I have the shade 01, which is light. And looks very much the same. This is the light shade. Kind of wish I would have picked up the second one, but I think it's okay. And then I also got the Rouge Blush Color and Glow, the Duo, and it's a Shape and Highlight Couture Duo. Sorry, Shape and Highlight Couture Duo. And it's in the shade Dioriviera, number 257, which is this one here. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about the actual products. And then I ended up actually getting this as a gift with purchase. It's just a little like makeup bag, which I think is pretty cute. Looks a little like Christmassy, but that's fine. And then I ended up getting a little mascara sample. I might try lashes today. So this is the Dior Show Volume Mascara. Good. And then the Capture Total Serum. I already did my skincare, so I forgot to use that. And then the Hyalu Shot Wrinkle Corrector. So I'll use this at nighttime, I guess. But yeah, so that's everything. I will start off by talking about the foundation. So let's get into it. So the multi-use foundation stick provides a natural blurred finish. It provides 24-hour wear and hydration. I'm sure none of us are going to wear it for that long, but just in case, it's 24-hour wear. It helps to even out the complexion and erase imperfections to reveal a flawless complexion. It lets the skin breathe. It doesn't feel heavy. It's soft, lightweight. Texture melts into the skin. It helps to reduce the appearance of pores and conceals imperfections. It's non-comedogenic and dermatology tested, and there are 16 shades, which I think is a decent range for especially like a higher end brand. I feel like usually they don't have the greatest range, but let's go right in with the foundation. I think these are now available at Sephora too, if I'm not mistaken. I will put a link and let you know if they are available. If it is available at Sephora, I'll put the Sephora link. If not, I will put the Dior link, but I believe these are available in the US now, so you'll probably see a lot of reviews trickling in now. But yeah, let's start with the foundation stick. And again, I have the shade 1N, so I'll just show you what that looks like. And of course, I'm having, so you see what I mean? It's kind of like, it's a little orangey on my skin. I don't know. Once it's blended, it's fine. It's just when I first put it on. There is a fragrance to it, so if that's not something you're into, you probably will not like that. I did put my usual Cali Ray So Blown primer on, and that just helps obviously mattify the skin. And it's definitely more natural finish. So once it's blended, I think it's fine and I think it works. And luckily I didn't really notice any oxidization with this. And it really does feel lightweight. I've worn this a few times already and it does not feel heavy. A lot of cream foundations feel like they're just sitting on the skin. This one doesn't feel like that. Anyways, I was gonna mention I have a lot of imperfections right now and breakouts, of course, right before the wedding, but I feel like that's probably due to stress because it's been an extremely emotional, stressful week. So, okay, I'm gonna really just try to talk about this without crying. Today was the first day I haven't cried yet, but here we go. So our dog Lena was a Jack Russell Chihuahua. She had probably gone down to about 9 pounds. She was tiny. When we first got her, we got her in 2017, April 30th. Still remember the date. She had had babies not long before that, so I remember she had just like big little nippies. But right when we first got her, she had to get a couple of cysts removed. Well, what happened was we brought her to the vet because they pay for your first vet visit. Like, we had adopted her and she was a rescue from California. And when you first get them, the rescue pays for your first vet visit, and they had just given her a cleaning. And so we brought her in. They noticed that she had a little like mammary lump, so they wanted to make sure that it wasn't cancer. So they went in. So basically, as soon as we got her, she had her first surgery, and they went in and took them out, and I think it was just like a little mammary cyst, and it could have just been from the babies. She had 2 babies, one named Bella and one named Duke. I never got to meet them, unfortunately. I tried to get I knew who had adopted her, and I tried to message her to see if she would want to get the baby and Lena together, the daughter, but she never answered me back, so it never happened. So yeah, as soon as we got her, we were already worried because she had to get surgery immediately, and we didn't know if it was cancerous or not, and luckily it was not, and everything was good. So she did have a couple of her nipples removed for that reason, just for the cysts and just to get rid of the little lump. And so we were told when we first brought her in for that vet visit, just adding a little bit more because I'm having blemishes on my forehead. When we brought her in, we were told that she was approximately, well, the rescue told us she was about 2 years old. And then when we brought her to the vet told us she was about 3 to 5. And by that time, we had already adopted her. We loved her. There was no way we were not keeping her because of her age. So we obviously kept her. And I'm so happy that we did, obviously. But yeah, so she had that done. And yeah, then she was ours and she was good. And we weren't worried because it wasn't cancer, of course. And throughout the course of the year, she has had a lot of health issues. This was our fault. I didn't leave it out, but it doesn't matter. She had colitis. There was a chicken bone that she got a hold of, and she ended up getting colitis, but it's not like human colitis, like it actually goes away. And she recovered from that. And then, so this was like just throughout the years that we've had her. And then at one point she had pancreatitis, which I have no idea where it even came from. We've never really been one to feed her bad food. Like the human food that we'd feed her would mostly be like vegetables or chicken, you know, maybe a little bit of beef or rice, like nothing that's ever been, you know, greasy, or like no pizza or anything like that, or ice cream, like, so I'm not sure exactly what caused the pancreatitis, but they can die from pancreatitis. It's pretty serious. And I just remember she was so sick. Anyway, she recovered from that. And then I think it was about 4 years ago, she ended up with liver toxicity. We had her on these pills because she peed a lot. And these pills, I can't remember the name of them, I wish I could, they're not supposed to be taken long term because it could affect their body. And we had her on them for a little while. Basically what happened was she was peeing. I'm just kind of dipping this in here. Apparently after she got spayed, the reason she was peeing so much is because it kind of messes with your hormones. And because she didn't have that hormone in her body anymore, it basically, when she would sleep, she would kind of just like, her sphincter would just like release and she would pee throughout the night. And so we had diapers on her. That was never really, I mean, it sucked, but that was never really like a huge issue. We just ended up getting diapers and that was sort of it. And then she was on those pills, and I just remember reading that if they're on them for too long, it could cause toxicity. Just using the Forever Skin Correct. This is the older one, and it's in shade 0N. And so I remember reading that and thinking, shouldn't we get her off of these pills? Like, they were definitely helping, and she was not peeing even close to as much as she had been. And I even asked the vet, I said, should she be still on these? Like, I'm kind of worried. I don't really want her to be on them for too long if it's gonna affect her health. And he's like, oh no, it's fine. And then she got toxicity. And there's no other explanation that she would have got it. And basically she was so sick, she would just even take a sip of water and throw up immediately. Like, it was awful. And I was freaking out because I had no idea what was wrong with her. I had no idea how to help her. So I took her to the vet. She had to be on all day long an IV for 2 days straight. And the problem is my vet doesn't have, so basically it was her liver enzymes had jumped sky high, and basically her liver was like functioning very poorly. And so sorry, I'm just like losing my place here. I'm just gonna go in with the Pat McGrath powder. So anyway, after that, she recovered. Luckily, she was on these pills called Aventi, which is like a liver enzyme pill, and it basically kept her liver enzymes stable. And she was good for a long time, and she hadn't really had any other like health issues since that time. It was basically that, which was a huge issue. She could have died. So that was pretty stressful. And then I think it was February 2023, so it was just last year, she was super sick again, throwing up, super sick, had no idea what was going on, took her in immediately, same thing. Liver enzymes were sky high. And they did some tests on her, and then same thing. This time she stayed overnight, all day and overnight, on IV fluids. And she pulled through again, and she was doing really good. Actually, after she came out of the hospital, she was kind of back to her old self, happy, doing really good. They did tell me that she had a nodule on her liver, but her liver enzymes went back to normal, and we have ever since kept her on Aventi, and her liver enzymes were at a good spot. We had tested her later on after keeping her on Aventi, and they were back to normal, but we were told that she had a nodule on her liver, but they did say that it didn't look cancerous or anything, and it seemed like it was just from old age. So we did do that follow-up test, and everything was normal. Her enzymes had gone back to normal, and so we were obviously so happy, because that was the second time she almost died, or third, I guess, if you count the pancreatitis. And it was so expensive. I think it was $3,500, but I would do anything to save her. I would literally spend any amount of money, even if I don't have it, to save her, which I know sounds probably ridiculous to most people, but that's just what it was. I'm gonna go in with the Dior Powder No Powder in the shade 1N. And so yeah, after that, she had seemed like she made a pretty full recovery, and she wasn't sick. Like, she barely was sick anymore. She wasn't like throwing up or anything. And then I don't know when we started to notice the circling. And so I noticed one time she was acting strange. She was sitting there, and she looked like she was falling asleep, and she just kind of like started leaning over, and then like would almost wake herself up. And that freaked me out, because that was unlike her. It didn't look normal for her. Because yes, she was tired a lot because she was a little bit older, but her leaning over to the side like that just seemed weird. And then I noticed she was starting to circle a little bit and just get overall confused. Like, she would look in the mirror and start barking, where she had never ever paid attention to the mirror before. And it would like freak her out when she would see herself. And so we were kind of like, what's going on? And she always knew where the door was. When we'd come out of the elevator, she knew where our door was, and she'd go straight to the door, right to the opening of the door. And she was starting to get confused which way the elevator would open, if it would be the left or right side. And same with our door, like our front door. And then she was getting out of the elevator and going to this area that looked like our door, like right when you get out of the elevator, but it wasn't. And she had never really done that before. So we were starting to see a little bit of signs of dementia, but we were like, okay, well, she's a little bit older than we thought she was. So, you know, it makes sense that she might be having a bit of dementia. And like, obviously it was sad, but she wasn't like that all the time. She wasn't like confused all the time and didn't know where she was. It was just like once in a while. I'm gonna go in with the Forever Skin Contour. So this is what the face is looking like so far. So I would definitely say it is a natural finish, not a matte. I was hoping it would be a little bit more matte, but I think with the proper powder and the proper prep, I think you'd be fine. Okay, so we're gonna go in with this one, 01. I'm gonna go in with a brush. This is just the It Cosmetics brush. So yeah, I'll just read quickly about this one. This comes in 4 shades. It is the Forever Skin Contour. So it says it blends easily, it's natural looking, it's for either sculpting or a bronzing effect. It has 24-hour wear and hydration, same as the foundation. It says it has a creamy texture and blends into the skin easily for a streak-free finish. It's heat and humidity resistant, as is the foundation. It's non-comedogenic and it's heat and humidity resistant. So I think that's all we need to know about this. It's very pretty. So anyways, we had noticed that throughout, and then it was just when she started doing that falling asleep looking thing, everything I was looking up pointed to possibly a stroke. It says when they're like acting like they're drunk, when they're just like, you know, wobbling or acting weird, it could possibly be a stroke. And so spoke to the vet about it. I was pretty diligent with her health. Like anything I noticed was abnormal for her, I would bring her in and see what's going on. So I took her in, they looked at her eyes, and she had something called nystagmus, which is basically like rapid eye movement, which was causing her unsteadiness on her feet sometimes. So it didn't start off as her circling and circling. It started off with that wobbliness, and then that's when I had made the vet appointment and asked like what the heck is going on. And they said, oh, it looks like it's geriatric vestibular disease, which they referred to as old dog syndrome. And so again, we knew she was a little bit older, and so we were like, okay, well, how do we deal with this? Like, I don't want her to just be dizzy constantly and, you know, not be feeling well. We want her to feel good. So we were giving her Gravol to help from feeling sick. I didn't realize I was giving her the Gravol Ginger, which doesn't really help with the dizziness. It just helps with any nausea. But she wasn't really getting sick or anything. Again, she was doing pretty, I don't want to say well, she was doing okay with the Gravol. But as time progressed, she started circling and circling more and more. And so I mentioned this to them. I said, is there anything we can do to help with the circling? Like, I don't want her to feel sick constantly, and I want her to have a quality of life. And they were just like, unfortunately, because she's older, that's just what it is. And then it got progressively worse, where she wasn't even, when she was like, I want to say at rest, where she was just standing there, she wouldn't just stand there or sit down and like wait for us to give her food or anything. She would start just turning. We'd call her name, she wouldn't respond. I'd give her food and she'd keep turning, and then I'd have to like bring her to her food bowl so that she'd be like, oh, okay, it's dinner time, I'm concentrating and I'm eating. Like if I was like, Lena, come here, holding her bowl, unless she stopped and made eye contact with me, then she would come. If she didn't, she would just keep spinning and spinning. So I'd actually physically have to bring her to her bowl. Then we started noticing her legs, the back legs were starting to cross, and she was cracking a lot. We would pick her up and like her body would be like cricking and cracking, and we're like, oh my gosh, what do we do? Like, what? That was new. And so they told us that was crepitus, and we had taken her to okay, before this even happened, last year I brought her for her teeth, and I spoke about this in a video. This was after she had the toxicity. I brought her for her teeth, and this is when she was kind of like back in decent health. And then when they did her teeth, they said she can't go under general anesthesia anymore because her blood pressure dropped so low that we were like on the edge of our seats. Like she could have died. So that was the 4th time she could have died, but she persevered because she was just that kind of girl. She was strong, so strong. Anytime she'd hurt herself, she wouldn't cry or anything. She would just keep going. And so crepitus, we brought her in. They said, here's what we think it is. It's basically a form of arthritis. Like, it sounds worse than it is. Basically, like the cracking, she might not even be in pain, but it just might sound worse than it is. But apparently by her crossing the legs, that was her relieving any pain that she had. And so we put her on medication for arthritis, and that actually seemed to help quite a bit. And okay, I'm gonna go in with this now, which is the blush. So this is Dioriviera, number 257, and just to drop it on the floor, just to read a little bit about it. So this has matte and glow finishes. There are the blush and glow and the contour and glow. I think there's 2 contour and glows. I can't remember how many blush and glows there are. It says it's buildable with a multi-dimensional pearlescent pigments to bathe the face in spectacular light. The powders are infused with gel to create a soft, fine texture. So that's basically all it says about it. Yeah, I wrote it on an envelope. Okay. So we'll start with the blush here. So basically over this last 6 months is when she's been showing the most issues, I guess. And I have no idea which blush brush to use. And so we were trying to do our best to keep on top of everything. And then the spinning kind of got out of control, and I did not know what to do or how to help her. I spoke to the vet and I just said, like, is this ever gonna get better? Like, what can we do to help? And he just said no. And I'm like, well, what kind of life is this for her to just be spinning in circles all day long? And so we'd physically stop her from spinning. Like, I would stop her and like take her onto the bed with us, and then she'd finally like rest and relax and get like a little bit of like, her mind would almost like turn off, and she'd finally get a break and just sleep. And so she just felt super comfortable in our bed. And so, because she used to sleep with us, but what happened was with the dementia, they get confused if it's day or night. And so in the night, because they sleep all day long, in the night, they just want to be awake. So we had like night lights and stuff out there to help her so she wasn't like crashing into things. But there were times we'd wake up and she'd be out there just running in a circle. And I'm like, this is so bad. Like, honestly, it made me just want to cry to see her like that. This, I feel like I really have to build up. It is buildable, but I feel like I really have to build this color up. It's very pretty once it's built up, but I feel like if you're wanting pigment right off the bat, go for a deeper shade, because I feel like this one, it's pretty lightly pigmented. Like, I feel like I get a little bit more from the Backstage blushes. So anyways, after all of that, we finally bought her that tent thing so that because what had happened was she was circling so much, she did start running into things even if we had a nightlight on. So we put her in that like tent thing, which was quite big. We were able to fit her bed in there, and we just put pee pads in there just in case. And she seemed to be doing much better in there. And so when we would leave the house, we would leave her in there. But when we were here, we would keep her out. Okay, so that's better. It's kind of like a pinky peachy shade. It's pretty. I might put a little bit more bronzer, like a powder bronzer on top, because I'm feeling like that added color, obviously, but I'm feeling a little bit pale still. So I'm going to add the highlight, just kind of a more champagne-y shade. It is a little bit glittery, so if you don't like that, you might not like this, but I don't think it's over the top. I think it's quite pretty. Let me see. I think that's nice. So once we got that thing, it definitely helped. She couldn't obviously sleep in our bed with us anymore, which sucked. I loved having her in the bed. But we needed to get rest and she needed to get rest, and seemed to be the only thing that would work for everyone. Let's go into the NARS bronzer, I guess. So I'm just literally using the tiniest bit that I have left. So once that started happening, obviously it was getting bad. She was losing a little bit of weight because she was pacing so much and walking in a circle so much. So we had realized she probably just needs more calories because she's burning off everything she's eating. And so we started giving her wet food in combination with the dry food, and that helped her to gain a little bit of weight, which was good. And we had seen the vet a few times in between, and I guess they were happy with with her weight, because they had immediately done all these tests, because they're like, why is she so skinny? And they did a ton of blood tests, and her bloods were all normal. And so they were like, okay. And I told them, like, she's walking a lot, especially in the summertime. She walks a lot more outside, because in winter she was tiny, so we would just bring her in immediately. And so we were happy because the arthritis seemed to be kind of at bay, and she didn't seem to be cracking as much as she was at one point. I know I could just use the Dior for this, but this is more a gray contour shade, so I always use this. It's just the NYX. So we were happy. She had gained weight. She was doing a little bit better. We knew her blood work was good. So, you know, aside from the circling, things seem to be not okay, but generally okay. And everything I read was saying they can live with vestibular disease and be okay, and you don't have to put them down. And yeah, so then I noticed probably a couple months ago that she started not doing it against the wall, but she would put her head down onto the floor. And everything I had Googled, listen, I'm like a Google crazy person. Everything I had Googled had said if they start head pressing, that's like pretty serious. And you should contact your vet. But then when I would read other things, it said that it could just be from the vertigo, like they're trying to stabilize themselves. And then it started, we'd start taking her outside and she would just stand there and just look around. And we'd be like, what's happening? And we'd try to, like, you know, pull her a little bit and be like, come on, like, let's do something out here. And it would almost be like she was confused why she was even outside and like what she should do. And so we'd be like, come on, like, let's go to the bathroom. And then eventually she would, but sometimes it would take a long time for her to like really, I guess, figure out why we were there. It just seemed like she was confused. And then she would start to kind of like, because she was dizzy, she would like lose her balance a bit. And so it was getting difficult to walk her outside. But, you know, again, I'm thinking, okay, well, it's the vestibular disease, you know. Sometimes she's a little off balance. Sometimes she has a good day. Sometimes she has a bad day. And she was still eating all throughout this entire thing. And so I'm like, well, she hasn't lost her appetite, so she mustn't be feeling too bad. And I remember bringing it up to the vet saying, should I be giving her an MRI? Because I was worried that it wasn't just the vestibular disease. I said, could it get any better, or will she be like this forever? And he said, well, because she's older, it'll probably stay that way. Even though everything I read was saying there's most likely a reason that she has this. Like, something is giving this to them. Sometimes it could be an ear infection, which she did have initially, and then she seemed to do better once she was on the medication. And then it kind of just got bad again. And then he's like, no, like, it's just pretty normal that she might just stay this way. I'm probably gonna go in with this. And just trying to see what I want to use. Maybe I'll go in with a little bit of the bronzer first, because I want to use just like a more brownie shade. And so we would ask, like, will this ever clear up? And basically they said no, so we just expected her to be like this for the rest of her life, unfortunately, which, I mean, if you're a human with vertigo, you don't, I guess you just kind of deal with it, right? And so we were like, okay, you know, as sad as it was, she was still eating and she was still somewhat being normal. But then when the head pressing started, I started to get concerned. And again, I read that it could be from the vestibular disease, but then when she was eating, she would start somersaulting forward. And when we would walk her, she would start somersaulting forward and doing it like a lot. And again, I wanted to take her for an MRI, but they have to be sedated and put under general anesthesia for an MRI. And so dumb me was like, well, let's just not give her an MRI because there's a chance she could die. So why am I gonna possibly kill her to see what's going on? But at the same time, I knew something else was going on because it was progressively getting worse. It wasn't just staying the same, it was progressively worsening. And yeah, so she was like that for a while, and my parents were like, you can't leave her like that. They're like, she is not well. Like, she's spinning in circles constantly. They're like, that's not a good life for her. And as much as I knew that they were right, I was like, I'm not putting my dog down because she's dizzy. And, you know, obviously I was kind of being selfish because I did not obviously want to put her down. I'm like, she is an angel. And so we didn't, of course. And then she started having stomach issues. I want to say like, she had them for a few days. She started getting diarrhea, and I'm like, oh no, like, what now? Because it's like as if she didn't have enough to deal with. So then we were taking her out constantly, and I could tell when she had to go, like, she would start panting in a weird way. And so I knew, like, okay, I have to run her outside. So we were giving her, like, you're allowed to give them Pepto. We were giving her, like, a tiny little piece of Pepto-Bismol to help settle her stomach. Plus, I always gave her the Gravol. So she wasn't throwing up. She had started off throwing up twice. And usually she doesn't get sick unless it's because something is very wrong or she just hasn't eaten in a long time or something, like, and then it would clear up immediately. You know, it would just happen once and then she'd be fine. And it was just, this time it was a lot, and we were like, oh, that's not good. And then she started having the diarrhea for like 4 days straight. We put her on a chicken and rice diet because that normally will help clear it up. We were giving her pumpkin, and the pumpkin wasn't really, they just weren't really helping. It seemed like it eased up, and we said, at first we said, okay, if she doesn't get better, like, she has to go to the vet, and maybe it's her liver again, and maybe this is time, like, because there were a couple times I walked her and she was honestly, like, I don't want to say this, but she was honestly like a little bit of like a vegetable, where she wasn't moving, she wasn't doing anything, she wasn't walking. And I feel so bad because sometimes we would get frustrated with her, and it's like, it wasn't her fault. Like, if she didn't take her medication, I feel like we'd be like, come on, Lena, like, take your medication, like, we're just trying to help you. Or like, if she wasn't walking, we'd be like, come on, like, obviously not like yelling at her or anything, but I don't know, I just feel guilty about so many things that happen with her. So if you have a dog, just don't ever get frustrated with them. It's not their fault, and they love you more than anything in the world, and just be patient with them, because if I could go back, I feel like I would do so many things different, and I would just snuggle her as much as I could possibly snuggle her. And like, I feel guilty for all the times I was doing my makeup and not spending time with her. It's like, I know half the time she'd be sleeping, so it's like, I don't know, there's nothing I could really do besides lay beside her. But like, there's just so many things I would do different now if I could. It's like, we would kind of fight about taking her out in the morning because she'd get up so early and have to go to the bathroom. Now it's like, I don't care. I should have just got up every single morning and not even thought about it and just done it, because that's what she deserved. This is Bronze by Victoria Beckham. Yeah. Hourglass Cave. But yeah, there are just, I don't know, so many regrets. So we had said, if she doesn't get better, then we need to take her in. And at that point, things were just really bad with her walking and circling and head pressing and somersaulting. But she was still eating. And so I had a problem with putting her down if she was still eating. And so we just, I don't know, we really struggled with it. We had no idea what to do. We had made the appointment for last Monday, and then we decided if she's doing better by Monday, we will cancel the appointment. And I just never wanted to do it from the beginning. Like, I wasn't ready to say goodbye to her. I feel like everything just came on way too quickly. But I also didn't want her to suffer. If she was going to the bathroom every 2 seconds, like, obviously something was right, and I thought maybe it was her liver again. And so she had now lost a lot of weight at this point, and we were like, okay, well, it's because, again, she's circling, she's not getting enough food. We bought the dry food again, and we were feeding her like 4 times a day at this point, because we just wanted her to gain weight again. Like, her back end was so small, it was like skin and bones, and I was like, this doesn't look good. And like, anyone who saw her, like my fiance's sister was like, guys, like, she does not look good. Like, she looks ill. And we thought maybe she just lost a little extra weight too because she had had diarrhea. And so it kind of started to seem like it was clearing up. He went out for dinner with his friends on Saturday, and I stayed with her. I was gonna go, and I'm like, no, you know what? I'm gonna stay with her. And I'm so happy that I did, because we just like laid on the bed together and spent the whole night together. And I'm so happy that we had that. And you just like don't realize how hard it is until you go through it. I hadn't been through it in such a long time. And this was my first dog, like my dog. And so Sunday, she had done so well overnight, didn't pee or poop in the diaper, anything. Like, she was so good. And then we ended up walking her, and it seemed like the Pepto-Bismol was helping, and we're like, okay, maybe she's good. Like, maybe we can cancel that appointment. And then we went out to the gym, and we said, oh, I'm gonna use this mascara. And then we said, okay, if we come back from the gym and she hasn't diarrhea, like, let's cancel the appointment. And so we were so hopeful, and I just remember being so nervous coming back home, because I'm like, please don't have pooped in there. Like, I just pray that she was okay and that things are clearing up. And then we walked in, didn't smell anything, and we're like, oh my gosh, I think she's okay. And then I walk up to her little tent thing, and she had pooped in there, and my heart just sank. I'm like, well, now I know what's gonna happen. And all Sunday, I remember thinking, maybe it's gonna clear up. Like, it seems like it's getting better, but she had pooped in the house like 3 times. And then Monday I was still like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to take her in. Like, it seemed like her poop was getting, sorry if this is gross, but it seemed like her poop was like getting a little bit more solid. And like my fiance was just like, she's not well. Like, you know, she's not well. Look at her. She can barely walk outside. He's like, even if this is clearing up, like, the rest of the issues are pretty bad. And it's like, I knew he was right, but I still just never felt good about it. We brought her to the vet, and yeah, we went through with it, and I held her in my arms the entire time. And that's where she passed away. We took her to the park. Before, we had given her like chicken and cheese and yogurt and like everything that she loved. I just was not ready. Like, I was not ready to say goodbye. I feel like, not that I was forced into it, but I was just not ready. We let her sleep in our bed the night before, and she slept so peacefully all night long. Did not even wake up once. Like a full 8 hours, I swear. And I just did not want to follow through with it. But yeah, we did. And I was talking to the vet, and I remember just thinking, like, God, give me a sign that, like, this is the right thing to do, because as soon as she had the morphine, they give them morphine first. She started, like, howling. She was like, ooh, ooh, and, like, leaning her head back, and I'm like, why is she doing this? Like, this was supposed to calm her down, and the vet was just like, it's because, like, she just might feel disoriented or, like, dizzy. And so that already, like, had me stressed out and upset. And then she gave her the second needle, and she was in my arms, and then she let us know that she had passed away. And we just picked up her ashes yesterday. And we spread some of them at the park that we took her to. She was just so calm. Anyways, I was asking for a sign. I'm like, please, God, I need to know if we're doing the right thing. And the vet that I talked to, I told her everything that was going on with the head pressing and the cartwheeling forward, and she's like, everything you're saying to me right now is indicating that she had a brain tumor. So I just feel so bad for all the times that we were like, what's going on? Come on, Lena. Like, I don't know. Or all the times I tried to give her medication, and I, like, kind of had to, like, shove it in her little mouth because she didn't want to take them. But I'm like, these will help you feel better. Like, please. If you have a dog, please love them as much as you can. Spend every single second you can with them. And never take them for granted. She was honestly the most perfect little angel that we could have asked for. I care that she had health issues for her sake, but I would spend all the money in the world again if I could for her. And I would have done literally anything I could have to save her. But the vet said, like, things would have only progressed and gotten worse. And when they start head pressing, that indicates that they might be in pain. And now I just feel so guilty that she could have been in pain for, like, a couple months. But the reason I didn't think she had a brain tumor was because we had never witnessed her having a seizure. And so I thought the whole time that it was just the vestibular disease. Ugh, it was the worst, honestly. It's gonna sound terrible, but this is like one of the hardest heartbreaks I've ever gone through. I don't think we've ever cried so much. I miss every second with her. I miss holding her, I miss cuddling her, I miss everything. Like, I would pick up her poop 75,000 times a day if that's what it meant to have her back. I just don't even know how to feel about it, but she was an absolute angel on earth, and I could not have asked for a better dog, honestly. And I'm just upset that we only had her for 7 years. Like, I thought she would live to like 17, I swear. Like, I know I'm being unrealistic, especially with the amount of health problems she had, but she had conquered every one of them. I'm mostly just using this bronze shade. I don't know. She was honestly the best dog ever in history. And the thing is, she just helped me get through so many. You don't realize how amazing they are. Like, they are there with you through everything. She helped me get over the death of my grandma, which was like probably besides her death, besides my dog's death, was one of the absolute hardest things I've ever had to go through in my entire life. And she helped me through my other dog's death, my family dog. You just don't realize how much they are there for you until they're gone. And she really was an absolute angel. And I just am watching so many things just to help me get through the day. There's this girl named Karen Anderson, and she writes about like communicating with departed pets and stuff, and I know that might sound like hokey or weird or whatever, but honestly I feel like it's helped me cope. And I don't know, it's just literally helped me get through the day just listening to her talk about it. And I bought a book that she wrote. Anyways, this is gonna be the weirdest thing ever. I'm asking for signs that my dog is okay and that we did the right thing. And I go downstairs, and the very first person I see in the parkade is this girl named Lena, who lives in the building, and that's my dog's name, Lena. We would call her Beans for short. And it was just so weird. I'm like, the very first person I see is Lena. And she's just like, hey, how's it going? I obviously didn't tell her she loved our dog. I didn't tell her what was happening. I was just on my way out to work, and I just didn't even want to get into it. And then we were on a walk, and I'm like, please, Lena, just like give me a sign that you're okay. And I know this is weird. I know people are probably like, okay, whatever. And my fiance and I stopped, and we looked at the concrete, and there were paw prints in the concrete. And I'm like, okay, what? Like, what are the chances? And then I pick up my mom has like this little like daily devotional Bible thing, and I picked it up yesterday and I looked through it because I just felt like I need to feel comforted. I need to feel like God is with me. And it was about spreading your loved one's ashes and helping you let go of the sadness. And we literally just spread some of her ashes yesterday in the park, and it was the same day. It was yesterday. And I'm like, okay. Like, sometimes there's coincidence, but sometimes I feel like it's just too weird. And so that to me was like, I don't know, I feel like that was kind of God comforting me, but it's just been so hard. These have been just like honestly the worst days, and everybody's texting me like, oh my God, are you so excited for the wedding coming up? And I'm just like, haven't even thought about it. I'm trying to get excited, and I know I will be the day of, but not having her and not having her like in our pictures and everything, it's just, I don't know. I'm upset. I just miss her so much. So yeah, that's what's been going on, and she is an absolute angel, literally, and I just miss her. And I just hope if you guys have animals that you will just love them so much and cuddle them and kiss them. Just appreciate every second of them. Even if you think they're being bad, they're not bad. I'm trying to open this lipstick. I just don't even care. Anyway, so yeah, the makeup's good though. I'm really liking the foundation. I don't feel like it's as matte as I would like it to be. I do feel like I have to touch up because I do get a little bit shiny throughout the day, but it is very smoothing. It has really good coverage. Definitely helped to like smooth the pores. I mean, right here you're seeing my pores because of that highlight, but okay, so I have a sample here of lipstick. This is Nude Look. I'm just gonna put a little because I feel like this is darker than what I orange. Okay. Way darker than what I would go for, and I don't want that, so. Anyway, I do thank all of you so much for being so supportive, and I'm sorry if I didn't reply back. It's because I literally just like couldn't even, like I was having a hard time getting out of bed. I don't know why my lips were doing better and now we're kind of back to them being dry, and I have a cut in the corner of my lip. I'm like, come on. Anyways, I do really like the blush too, but yes, I do feel like with this one specifically, you do have to add a little more than you normally would. I think with the darker colors, it doesn't seem to be an issue. I'm just gonna go over that blush a little bit more. And then I'll do my eyebrows, and I'm gonna try to add lashes because because I haven't worn lashes in ages, and I feel like I have to, oh shoot. Went in with the wrong brush. I went in with my foundation brush. It's a pretty mix between peach and pink. But it is buildable, so I mean, I know most people probably wouldn't wear it this heavy, but mine fades quite a bit throughout the day. Okay, so I'll be back. But thank you again so much for listening to my story and listening to me talk about her. I haven't had the strength to clean her food bowl yet. I've just been looking at it and I like can't yet put it away and clean it, and I've just been sleeping with her little hoodie every night because I just can't. I can't deal with it right now. Yeah, so I'll be right back, and hopefully I will have lashes on and eyebrows on, and we will chat in a second. All right, so this is the final makeup look. Got my brows done, my lashes on. It feels so weird to be wearing lashes. I think I did okay, minus the inner corner here. It's a little janky, but we'll have to work on that. Sorry. But yeah, I think it turned out all right. I actually really like that bronze shade. I haven't used it alone like that, this one here, but I think it's actually so pretty. I'm just gonna add a tiny bit more. And that bronze eyeliner is beautiful by Victoria Beckham. So I did add a tiny bit of my cream lip stain. I think this is just renamed. I think it's called Latte now, but I'm gonna confirm and I'm gonna buy one and compare them. But this is the Sephora Collection lip stain in number 32. And I think it's still number 32 if I'm not mistaken, but I'm gonna add a tiny bit of the lip maximizer in the shade, I think it's just Nude Shimmer. I'll confirm. I forgot to tell you guys this part too. So when I was asking for a sign, I know it might be weird to some people, to make sure that she was okay. Like I said, I was listening to all these Karen Anderson stories, and I went to, for some reason, I don't know why, I just went to her YouTube page just to see if she had any YouTube videos. And one of the first ones I see is one called, as you know, I said we called her Beans for short. That was just like her little nickname. Or we call her Beanie, we'd say Weenie, Beanie the Weenie. I go to Karen Anderson's YouTube channel and she has this video, you should look at it, it's so cute. It's called Beanie the Weenie, and it's just a little chihuahua that looked exactly like my dog Lena, and he was just like running around like playing on the couch, and I was just like, oh my goodness, it looks exactly like her. I'm like, what are the chances? Just there's so many little similarities and coincidences and everything that I feel like it can't just be all coincidence. Is this coming off? Yes. This is why I don't like lashes. I think for the wedding, I'm just gonna clip like half of it and just do it's so annoying. I think I'm gonna clip half and just do the lash on the outside because I'm too worried about the inner corner. This one's actually totally fine. This one, not great. But anyways, I just thought that was so crazy, Beanie the Weenie, especially since not only does it look exactly like her, but the nickname, like that was just insane to me. My fiance made me this, which I thought was so sweet. It's just like a little magnetic, you can open it. And it's like some of my favorite pictures of her. The bottom one in her hoodie, that one there, the top one with the little bow on her head. I just think, ugh. She came boating with us. She's in a little life jacket in the middle picture, and then we did her little paw prints the night before. Just literally, we both are just in shock still. I feel like we can't believe she's gone. We keep turning around to give her food or just expect her to walk in the door and just be her little sweet self, and there's nothing there. And then when we walk in the living room, you expect to see her laying there, and every night before bed I would always tell her that I loved her. And it's just weird. I still tell her that I love her every night, but just so weird not having her around. It sucks. It's empty, and if anybody asks us if we're gonna get another dog, not anytime soon. I want to give her the time that she deserves, the grief that she deserves, and I just want to honor her, and I do want to try to just even be a better person for her. And I just have so many regrets. I wish that I would just hold her more and love on her more. I feel like I did as much as I could, but I feel like there's always still that regret. But yeah, if you have pets, please love your little babies so much, as you can, because they are the absolute world, and we mean the world to them. But yeah, okay, back to the makeup, which really seems insignificant to me at this point, but that's why you're here, obviously. I do think everything worked out really good. I think the foundation is beautiful. It really does provide like a very nice blurring quality. It covered up all of my, there's like maybe a tiny bit you can see on my forehead, but it did cover up all the redness, covered up almost all of my imperfections. And like I said, I've been breaking out. I think stress and everything is getting to me. But yeah, everything was looking really good, especially for the foundation. I think if you are oilier like me, you might want to just use a more mattifying powder on top to set it. I use the Powder No Powder, and that's not really like a mattifying powder. It's just like a nice kind of wash. It's more like a natural finish. So I think I would use a more mattifying powder, like maybe the NARS Soft Matte Advanced Perfecting Powder. And then the contour is beautiful as well. Had no issues with that. I feel like it's super smoothing on the skin again. It does have a more natural finish again, so if you are oilier like me, you might want to set it with like a more matte bronzer. And then the blush is very pretty. The highlight, like I said, it does have a little bit of like a soft glitter to it, so if you don't like any kind of glitter, you may not like it. But I think that the blush is very buildable. As you can see, I built it up quite a bit, and I built it up to a point that I'm happy with. Actually, I might have even gone a little bit too hard on this side, but it's very pretty color. I really enjoy all of these products, and I think that you would really like them as well. If you have the same taste in makeup as I do, I feel like you'd probably really enjoy these products. So thank you so much for watching and listening to me talk about my girl for a very long time. And I hope that you enjoy your day, and I will see you soon. Bye.
Keep you warm. And keep your ears warm.